Here's an important gold update. If you've been watching our videos here for a while, you know that we've been very bullish on the price of gold since about the summer of 2023. I personally recently took some profits in the price of gold because it had risen a lot, like 80% since the entry. I am looking to add it back on. So here is sort of a big picture update and also a more tactical update at the same time. So what we're looking at here is a long-term look of the price of gold. In fact, I'm going to make this an even bigger picture look, and you can see essentially what's been taking place here is when we started breaking out of this most recent base, if you will, in let's call it November of 2023. We've now had a very significant rally since that break, and I'm going to call that roughly a 70-ish% breakout. I do think ultimately this can continue, but I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to be somewhat range bound here with a widening range over the course of possibly a few quarters, at least a few months. So that's kind of where we are here. In fact, I personally wouldn't be surprised if we see a situation where now that we've had the breakout, we see some sort of an attempt of a sort of, mean reversion move, maybe not quite down to 1900, before we have that move higher. It's not unprecedented. In fact, in 2008, when we saw gold break out, it rallied first about 55%, then gave all of that initial move back, and then had the entire move, which was about 171%. At this point, I think this rally here is a bit more fundamentally driven. It's a 76% move. If it were to give all that up, that would be a drop of about 43%. That seems a bit much. I don't want to rule it out. Again, that's a big picture, but I wouldn't want to rule it out through the lens of multiple quarters before we then make a much bigger move and ultimately, make this entire move maybe up to about 5,000, which would then ironically be about that 170% move that we did see take place in 2007 into 2011. So again, that's sort of the multi-quarter, multi-month lens, the risk there. Now, where it gets more interesting in the near term is kind of like it's almost the opposite. So I think if we look at the price of gold now in the more near term, we will see, and this again, keep in mind that this arrow here is ultimately the multi-month, maybe more like multi-quarter sort of time frame, and I don't believe that's necessarily implies in the near term. So when I look at the multi-month, actually it's a multi-month chart, we're noticing that this consolidation pattern that we've been in is getting increasingly tight. And essentially what that means is that from a near-term perspective, and a near-term here I define as multiple weeks maybe, I would not be surprised if we see some sort of a breakout attempt that gets gold maybe moving another 5 to 10% higher, and then maybe we start failing from there and have that much bigger sort of corrective move, which then leads to that move to 5,000 ultimately in the upside. So multiple time frames. Hope it helps. I'll see you in the next video. If this video helped you, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, you give us a thumbs up like, and if you want to see this approach in action, you will want to join us in our Set the Market morning call, which happens at 9 o'clock Eastern Time, Monday through Thursday. Make sure you join us for that in the link down below. Again, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next video.